Peace, 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 peace. Peace and love, good people. This is your man, Nat Burns, aka at Nat Busy. And we are now live at the God Hour. Peace. Yeah, we might be a little bit after the God Hour. Please pardon me, pardon self. It wasn't my fault. It was a little technical difficulties. It happens. Please, please, please. But tonight we have a pretty dope conversation coming up. As you can see in the background, man, there's a picture of my own heart. If my heart was showing, that would be the picture of this structure that you see in the background. And it just so happens my guest is also a person who's very familiar with this structure. So we ain't going to do a whole lot of long-winded monologue and preamble and all that. We only skip right to the proceedings this evening. And, man, tune in. You heard? It's going down. Nat Burns. Yes, indeed. You hear me. Peace and love, beloved.
Good evening, King. How are you?
Oh,
Let me
man.
straighten out my little camera.
I'm so much better now that I see your lovely face, and I got you right here in front of me. It's long overdue.
That's a fact. It's long overdue. A few people don't hit me up about you.
Man, that's beautiful. As you can see in the background, I tried to make us feel as comfortable as possible.
Love it. Love it.
We just gonna sit in front of the building and have a good conversation, you know, like back in the day.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love it.
I don't think we can do that so much in the physical so much. I don't know. I rode through Terrace like 2 weeks ago and it was a little difficult.
It's different. It's different. I'll make you laugh about a story that happened the last time I was over there.
Oh man, we gonna get right to that. But before we do, can you please just take a moment and introduce yourself to the people and let them know who you are and what it is that you do?
Absolutely. Listen, first of all, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm super, super humbled. I'm excited about tonight. You know, once again, like you said, us coming from the same town, same block and everything. Well, we called it the Eldorados back then.
Indeed.
You know, they call it the 100 block now, respectfully.
No
you know,
doubt.
I called the 100 block with them, but you know, I'm an Eldorados baby. So once again, thank you so much. So my name is Shenisse LaBird. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm a correction officer. I'm an author. I'm a writer. I'm a poet. I'm a podcaster. Shout out to Hot Mike Lady She podcast. I'm a woman who knows who she is. I'm still learning who I am, so that's exciting. And I'm just happy to be here, yo. Period. That's it. I'm happy to be here.
Beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Now, that's a lot of hats too, man. I know the closet got a little crazy.
There's a few more. Oh, I forgot I own a t-shirt company.
No doubt. Now, if you don't, I'm just curious. What's your sign?
Well, they say I'm an Aquarius. My birthday falls on they call it a cuss.
Well, when's your birthday?
January 20th.
That's crazy. I'm January 26th, so I feel the energy.
I feel the energy. Oh, snap. Okay.
Yeah, right. I feel that energy.
You know, I'm not like, what do you call it? Astrology, superstition. I'm not one of those, but people always be like, yo, you act just like an Aquarius. And other people like, you act like a Capricorn. I'm like, long as they dope people, I don't know. No doubt.
I mean, they're dope people, but I think where you probably get that work ethic from a Capricorn and that visionary thing from the Aquarian side.
Yeah, that's what they tell me. They're like, yo, you got a lot of ambition. You know, you a go-getter. Like, yeah, they tell me that. That's true. That's
true indeed.
Okay. I'll take that.
Great combination, man. Great combination.
Appreciate
that. That's Shankar's sister, right? Shankar, you know Shankar?
No. I don't have any sisters.
Now, I know whose little sister you are, and it's amazing because I actually started school with your older brother from kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and third grade with my man Little J, Little Jim.
That
was my guy. He was in my class.
Shout out to my brother Jimmy. He calls himself Jills now. You know, everybody got names and stuff. But
hold up, you got Jills and Lils?
Yes. And then my mama was Shy Reels. You know, it was a whole thing.
It was going down. And big shout out to your brother Lils too. That's my man, yo.
Yeah, shout out to Shantae too. Lils for sure, man. For sure.
Maybe he meant Shantae. I don't know, but Shantae.
Oh, they probably had a typo.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's a very small world, man. I remember seeing you when you were a young girl on the block. You know, you were probably, 18, 19 years old.
Okay.
I used to say, who was that little cutie right there, man?
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? She gonna grow up to be somebody. And I was not wrong.
Yeah, they were trying to type his name in. Yep.
I tell you, he was moving a little fast. Yeah. But yeah, man, it's good to see you all grown up and doing so many positive things.
Yeah.
I got to check out your podcast, Lady She, and
it's going good.
I see you keeping it going, man. You have a big variety of guests that you have there from all walks of life. I've seen a whole neighborhood in there, though, man.
Yeah.
I've seen a.
Listen, so in reference to that, you know, I just wanted to say this. I actually spoke about it at my job last night with some of the CEOs, you know, some of the white CEOs. They be trying to understand what I'm doing because they nosy. So I just I said, yo, listen, you know, it's easy for y'all to put yourselves on a platform and people support. I said, but for where I'm from, I said, we got some amazing people that come from there. I said, but the unfortunate part is you only hear about the bad stuff. I said, so this is me doing my part, you know what I'm saying, to put us out there that, for one, we got some amazing people. For two, everything about Terrace Avenue, Hempstead, Long Island is not about everybody dying and shooting up each other. You know, there's a small portion of that. There's so many amazing people that have, you know, what do you call it? Youth groups for the kids. You know, there's all kind of programs, all kind of stuff going on, but you don't really hear about it as much as you hear about the shooting. You know, before I took the corrections job, I worked in the district attorney's office for 5 years. And I remember I almost lost it all. I was ready to let somebody have it at the job because they came to me like with the audacity of, you can't be from there. And I said, why not? Well, because I know the type of people that are there because I'm prosecuting them. And I said, that's interesting. I said, I am from there. I actually still live there. And I said, maybe you should take a walk and start having a conversation with some of the people who live there instead of you already going into the courtroom with the mindset that this person probably definitely did what they did. I said, that's a problem for me.
Yeah. Now, how do we balance that, though?
Huh?
How do we balance that? Because I understand exactly where you're coming from. I am from there. I've lived in 3 different residences on that block before I was 10 years old. I moved from that block when I was about 10 years old. But my life started at 103 Terrace. Later on, we moved across the street to 100 Terrace.
Okay.
Later on, we moved back across the street to 67 Terrace.
67.
Yeah, apartment B29. That's where I went to school for a long time, man. And I know when I was growing up there, I tell people all the time, I don't really see much difference in a lot of the things that's happening. It's just that as it pertains to the violence, it just seems like the weapons have gotten a lot more plentiful.
The facts.
But,
all right. So my thoughts on that is this. I get what you are saying. Okay, let me just tell the story that I was going to tell you. So I went over there, right? One of my girlfriends was still living there. I don't know if she's going to be able to come over. She worked nights. So I'm like, all right, girl, I'm going to come over. I'm going to come visit, blah, blah, blah. So now, this is years later. I've been off the block. You know what I mean? I honestly didn't know what I was walking into. I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm just thinking it's my block. Like, that's my energy. So I go to park my little black Lexus. No exaggeration. Soon as I literally get out of the car, I hear, Bill, you, I turn around, they're literally fighting on my car.
Wow.
So I think the combination of being a mother, you know, being from there, just being tired of the fight and all that, my adrenaline kicked in me. I'm like, yo, what y'all doing? Like, I'm flipping on them. Like, stop that fighting. Then I look around. I'm like, I don't know, damn, what are these people right now? They might think a pop on me. So I'm like asking the girl, I'm like, yo, what you fighting her for? And I'm like, but all y'all a bunch of punks. Like, I'm talking to the dudes, and they looking at me like who is this bro? You know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm in adrenaline just going because I'm annoyed. Yeah. So the chick like, oh, well, she told me, I'm like, yo, people will be talking about you for the rest of your life. You gonna fight everybody? I'm like, you can't beat everybody, so cut it out. So then I'm just like standing there just doing it. I'm like, yo, let me get my light skin behind up out of here before I get jumped. Because I don't know nobody. When I tell you, I know none of them. So that right there was very significant. The difference is from what I'm looking at is a lot of the ones that's over there and the stuff that's going on, they're actually not from Terrace. Do you understand what I'm saying?
And that's nothing's changed. But again,
nothing has changed.
Even when I was there in the 70s, it was the same thing.
It was the same thing, but you know, some of the ones we knew was also involved with some of the nonsense.
Indeed.
This is, I didn't know none of them.
Yeah.
Like, they mamas wasn't my homegirls growing up. They fathers wasn't your homeboys. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, indeed. I definitely get it.
So I think it's a different influx that has risen. I think some of us, you know what I'm saying, who have gone on, we just going on and doing our thing. And now there's a new flow in there. There may be a little trinkle here and there, some that's like us per se. But I don't think, let me see, how can I say that without being disrespectful? You know how it goes. The lion is there. Whatever the lion says is gonna be what it is. So if you're the least of the pack, you at the bottom. So that's what it seems like is what's really going on. But I understand what you're saying by it not being so much of a change. The only thing I think that is more of a change is that there are some people who don't mind, you know, getting their feet dirty, getting their feet wet, and getting out there and saying, like, yo, y'all gotta stop the violence. You know, y'all killing our kids. You know, they out there. We got some that's really, really out there. Shout out to Letitia Fowler. I had her on the podcast. You know, she out there with this gun violence stuff. She like, yo, I'll snatch your kids up. You know what I'm saying? And I don't remember seeing that when I grew up. I remember when there was a shooting, we just couldn't go outside. Yeah.
Yeah, the 80s were real bad. The 80s were real bad. The 90s were bad. You know what I mean? The early 90s. But when I say what I'm saying, I don't necessarily mean it to bash the block. I would never do that because, again, that's where I come from.
No, the facts is the facts.
Yeah, that's the first. I mean, I'm pretty sure where it pertains to that, you and I have that much in common with those are our first visions. Right. When we first came outside, we saw the same structures. We went to the same parks. You know, we lived in that neighborhood, and there was a communal feeling to the neighborhood. You know, 100 Terrace is something totally different than the other side of the street. You know what I'm saying?
It is true, though.
You know what I mean? Like, I've lived in 100 Terrace. I remember what that felt like. I lived in 67. I remember what that felt like as opposed to living across the street. But I know a lot of times when we went other places, how we could come together and it was real communal. And I knew your whole peoples, you knew all my peoples, and we were good.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate that at the same time, because of, I think with Terrace being right there by the county seat, you know, the heart of the village, you know, with all the transientness that comes through the Long Island Railroad and the bus terminal and all of that, you know, there's a lot of, you know, buying and selling that goes on that block. And anything can happen at any given time, and the elephant in the room is drugs.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
That mind-altering thing that turns your favorite cousin into somebody who can't even come in the house no more.
Listen, I remember like yesterday, I remember seeing, I'm trying to think how I met this dude. I don't know, it might have been my tunnel days. Something like that. I don't remember. But, you know, I've always been more cooler with the guys than the girls, maybe because I grew up in a boy home. You know, my mother, I only had 2 brothers and all boy cousins. I don't know. I've always, you know, been cooler with the guys. But I remember this particular dude, he came to visit me and some of my friends or whatever. And out of nowhere.
He was brave.
Huh? Yeah, and that's a fact. He didn't know nothing about him staying. But this is what made it crazy, though. I remember one day, I feel like he probably never left.
Wow.
Word. And then that was it for him. Like, he was just gone after that.
He was a TA. He was a terror. He was
on drugs. Whatever capacity that we ended up meeting him, that must not have been what he portrayed. And when he got to my block, he like, oh, this is what it is. And he was just going after that. Like, I started seeing him more, and he wouldn't even look at me because he was smoking. It was a wrap.
Wow, that's young, though. That's young.
I was very young.
I call myself young. You know what I'm saying? So when I see people that's addicted to crack or heroin or something that's my age, I be bugging sometime. And I'm not passing judgment. I just be bugging because I'm like, we saw what it did already. Like, I can't see you take a gun, put it in your mouth and pull the trigger and be like, hey, yo, let me see that pistol real quick. I'm not going to do that. So when I've seen people be coked out, I've seen people on heroin junkies, I've seen people on those types of substances. And it's unfortunate because I've seen people smoking weed all the time, and that wasn't a bad thing. You know, you got a different vibe. But when it comes to those other substances, that was always a no-go for me because living right there on that block, I seen it all.
We seen the
Junkies
worst.
OD'd in the hallways.
Yep.
You know, people jumping off the roof, all
I
kinds
remember
of
what
crazy
crack
stuff.
smells like. I remember what crack smells like. And that's
Stinks.
bad.
I hate that
That
smell.
should not be normal. That should not be normal for a kid to
Yeah.
actually be able to recognize the smell and be like, oh, no, don't go in that staircase. Like, it was just, you know, looking back, I'm grateful to God that, you know, I never did that. But I did have some friends who dealt with older dudes. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it a buck. R. Kelly ain't the only one who out there doing that.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
It's been going on. It's still going on. They out here having kids with little girls, so stop playing. You know,
Yeah.
but back then, you know, some of us didn't have the real guidance within our parents. You know, we only had single mother homes, and some of us mothers was older to be having kids. So one particular friend for sure I know, you know, her mother was older and she was dealing with older guys at the time, and one of them introduced her to coke. And I'll never forget because we little, we don't know nothing. You know, we heard a group of our guy friends went to jump one of their friends' mother because they found out she was smoking crack, so they wanted to beat her up. So we was like, okay, we're gonna beat her up then. So we crazy, we kids, we don't know what to do. Our friend sniffing coke, we don't know. We freaking 15 years old. So we go to the house to jump her, and she like, no, I just tried it. No, it's not that. And we like, okay, cool. And she, listen, years later, she cracked out, prostitution, had kids, mother raising the kids, the dad, whatever. And listen, I don't take nothing lightly. I thank God for everything I learned, you know, on Terrace Avenue, in reference to being a hustler, in reference to, you know, survival, and understanding that how important it is to have, let me say this, how important it is to have not just two parents in a home, but present parents, because it's a difference. Some of us latchkey kids, you know what I'm saying? Our parents at work, we making hot dogs, you know what I'm saying? So we kind of was fitting for ourselves. So look, growing up there helped me to understand how vital it is, you know, to really, for one, understand, you know, who you're procreating with, the type of environment, how it can literally change you. Because my mother had boyfriends who sniffed coke, and I knew what they was doing. Like, I knew what they was doing when I was a kid. I'm like, yo, this nigga ain't right. I'm like, oh, he got he dipping. And I knew that as a kid. I should have known this stuff.
Nah, we had to be really advanced. We knew.
Yeah, we really did.
I remember dumping out sugar packets and making lines, you know, because I seen older people doing that. You know, I never did that, but I seen it, and you know, or taking my Now Later wrapper and rolling it up like a joint after you take the Now Later or something. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I want to take it back a little bit, because, you know, this is more intimate for me, because I started life, to me, with your brother. Me and him are the same age. So however many years your brother is older than you, I'm older than you. So in a way, I'm your big brother in that sense.
Got you.
From that block. And I think you're about the same age as my baby sister. I have a sister that just turned 41, I believe. She'll be 42 next year. Yeah.
I'm 43, yep.
Yeah, so you're a little older than my baby sister. When my mom got pregnant with her, that's when we moved from the block. And for me, it was just really unstable growing up in Hempstead. I went to Fulton Franklin, back and forth a couple of times. Then I went to Fulton Franklin a couple of times. Then we moved to Freeport. I went to Bayview. Then we moved back, and I went to Prospect. Then I finished elementary school in Alabama. It's crazy, very unstable.
I said, wow, okay.
Yeah, it was
a
heavy.
lot.
But for you, because I know, you know, what you come from, I know your brothers well, how were you able to be somewhat above the fray and some of the outcomes that I hear from with all the things that you're involved with? Because that could have went a totally different way.
That's
so for you, how were you able to maintain and manage to not get caught up in what was happening around you on that block?
Oh, I got caught up in stuff. I got I didn't leave unscathed at all. I didn't leave unscathed. You know, I had my time of smoking. My childhood was very traumatic. I think I shared it once on someone else's podcast that, you know, I did go through sexual abuse in my home. One of my mother's boyfriends, and another one was a family friend who had already violated someone else's family, but they still kept him around. And we gotta have conversations about that as well. We gotta call a spade when we have our children be double victimized by having their assailant person still around them after they shared that they were violated. So, but moving on, you know, I went through that. The thing that kept me mentally somewhat sane as I look back is when I was in Fulton School, and I'm hoping she's watching or she'll see later. We had a lady named Miss Simmons, a lady named Miss Johnson, and a lady named Miss Hasbury. They would put on shows at Fulton School where you would sing, dance, and act, and I was good at all three. Like to this day, people who haven't seen me since I was small can't believe I'm not a real professional dancer, because they were like, you were above your years at that age. You were above. And I remember being to the point where they wanted me involved. My mother didn't have the money to afford it, and they ended up paying for me to stay involved in the program. So I was really, really good at that. So that is what kept me kind of like, that was my outlet, so to speak. That and writing. I've always been a writer. I've always been a journaler. I also would get visions, but I didn't know what they were. Which means God was speaking to me even as a kid, but I just didn't understand what it was. I didn't have a lot of conversations with adults back then. I think that's why I have such a heart for the youth. I make sure whenever I do encounter a kid and I see them doing something, I'm gonna say something to you. I can't. It's like an innate obligation for me to make sure if I've encountered you and you're a kid and I see you have greatness, I'm gonna tell you that, because your environment may not be doing the same thing. So with me, I had these individuals who had me to understand that I did have gifts in the arts. So in middle school, you know, I was still trying to find myself, and for one, I've always had a boyfriend. Like, you know what I mean? Always had a boyfriend. I always had issues with girls because of boys. You know what I'm saying? Because I always looked like this. So I had issues when it came to girls. You know what I'm saying? Want to fight me. You know, want to get aggravated about boys that I didn't even like. I always had a boyfriend, so I'm like, the dudes you talking about, I don't even want them, but whatever. So I went through stuff in reference to that, toxic friendships. I decided that I wanted to go to college because I was frustrated. God bless the dead, my mom. You know, I was frustrated with the environment. You know, we was losing friends. Some of my friends were getting murdered on the block. I knew I wanted to do something psychology wise, so my major was psychology, child psychology. And I knew I wanted to do journalism. So I went to college, and that was short-lived because, you know, my mother was sick, my grandmother was sick, and unfortunately, because of how I was raised, I always ended up having to be the one to step it up when there was a lack. So I worked since, shout out to Don Ryan, I worked since I was 13 years old. I would literally save my money every summer. So just in case my mother didn't have it, I had it. Do you know what I'm saying? So I already had a checking account, savings. I was already there at 14 years old. And if my brother didn't have something, he was going to have it because I was going to make it happen. So that was my attitude. You know, Jimmy was there some of the times. You know, he grew up between North Carolina and Terrace. So when he was there, he got into street stuff. And that was hurtful for me because now I'm watching the person that's supposed to be my hero, he's going to jail. So when I came back, that's what kind of had me feeling like, all right, I'm back over here. I got to do something. Like, what can I do? That's something I know I'm going to feel like I'm doing something for the greater good. And I started realizing, I said, yo, I really want to understand why these dudes keep going in and out of jail. Like, what is the fixation? I don't get it. Like, you're hurting your families. Y'all making babies and going back in. What is this? So I'm like, yo, I'm going to just take the test and see what's good. So I'm at the DA's office making good money. Yeah. I'm a mom of one.
And you don't even have that far to travel. You used to walk to work, right?
I literally used to walk. Used to walk. So that was cool. So, you know, I'm telling them, I always been about my money. So I'm telling them, like, yo, listen, I'm telling y'all now, I done took some tests. And they're like, what? I'm like, I done took some tests. I'm telling you, they called me out of here. So they're like, oh, wait a minute, you know, we'll create another title for you. You just stick around. And the job called me and I went. So then I had to deal with being back on that block. Now I'm going back and forth to the academy. Bros is trying me because they know I can't put hands on them because I'm in the academy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like I got closer with God at that time between me having my son and taking that particular job because I'm like, yo, you're in this now. So you're obligated as one, a black woman, a woman, period, somebody's sister, somebody's daughter, that when you go in that jail, you need to be having real conversations with them. Like, yo, I see a potential. There's other options. Like, you got to do something different. So for me, I can't speak for nobody else. I know that me working there is part of my ministry. You understand what I'm saying?
Indeed.
I know that my presence, when dudes see me that's from my block, or when dudes see me that's from Hempstead, they're like, dang, niece, like, yo, I'm proud of you. I'm like, yo, I want to be proud of you. Like, let's go. Like, it's too much free money out here for you to be doing that. You know what I mean? So I know that, I know everything I do. I said it to an inmate one time. I don't know what he asked me. I said, oh, I don't do nothing I don't love. And he was like, yo, what? He like, what you say, Miss A? I'm like, I don't do nothing I don't love. And he looked like, wow, that's deep.
The aha moment.
Yeah, like, word. I'm like, yo, you can have this same feeling. Like, let's get it. Like, you got to do something different. You know, they say the drug program, people, places, and things. That's not just for the drug program. That's for all of us. Like, you got to learn how to be able to say no. You know, when it comes back to the environments, you got to be able to say no when it comes to those toxic friendships. You got to be able to say no when it comes to toxic family, just for your sanity, your peace, and for your success, period. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of been the vein that I've been in. I've made a lot of mistakes, you know what I'm saying? A lot of mistakes, you know, but I'm the type person that I have a repentant heart. So if I know I did something and I realize that it could have been damage to somebody, I'm definitely like, yo, Jesus, God, help me. You know what I mean? Like, I apologize. Show me how to be better. So that's kind of really, really been my attitude. You know, people, when I encounter people, they always say, you know, you're so humble. This didn't happen overnight. I went through some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I went through some stuff. So that's why I always tell people, even with the platform that I've created, I'm very strategic with who comes on, because for one, I pray about it first. Yeah. Then I'm like, you gotta, and this is for everybody, you gotta remember your why. Why do you do the things that you do? And for me, I stick to the plan. I know why I do every single thing that I do. So if you see me do something that seems out of sorts, there's a reason. And it's connected to my actual plan, because there is no plan B for me. Like, we either winning or we winning. So that's the attitude I try to have with everything that I do. And I try to encourage other people to understand I may be here right now and I'm still learning, but if you feel like you got to start over, start over. Start over. There's nobody's ever died from starting over. Trust me.
Man, I started over more times than people started. I swear.
Yes.
Started over. Yeah.
Get to it. You know, learn your craft. Whatever it is you're doing. You doing a podcast. You know, you got amazing people coming on. You interviewing people. Learn how to ask questions. You know, learn about the person. You're not gonna be perfect. I'm still learning, and I'm okay with failing. Like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? You can't talk crazy and say, yo, she failed. I know that. But watch me next time. You know what I'm saying?
You know that's exceptional, right?
I'm sorry?
That's exceptional. That mindset that you have, even just listening to your life story, to me it sounds, and coming from where you come from, and this is the beauty of this conversation, is because I can totally relate. But I know that just you and I are more the exception than what the rule of that block normally is. That, like you said, we barely escaped, slightly scathed. You know, there was a time of my life, and I don't want to make this indicative to the block, because the block is just a structure, right? But the energy that's there sometimes in the you know, there was a time in my life where I could steal anything from anybody at any time, because we grew up with a mentality that if it ain't nailed down and you got
taken
proximity to it, take it.
Yeah.
It's yours. You know what I'm saying? And you know, sometimes it bothers me, because now you become an adult. You've been through some things. You start to live long enough to understand all of this stuff people tells you about having good character and having integrity and things of that nature. And you see certain things happening, you know, because I still got a lot of family that live on the block. You know, they got kids, and you know, there's generations. My family has always been on that block in some way, form, or fashion. Right. And sometimes it's hard for me to talk to my own relatives because they remember me when I was in the street and I was moving a certain way. And then they look at me now. I have one family member in particular who I hold very dear that says, that looked at me like that was a bad thing. that I don't have that mentality anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it's really something that we got to really think about. Like, I'm an exception. I know that. I know that it would have been a lot easier for me to just keep going hard and keep trying to hustle. You know, you know, it's so many people that lived on that block that went to jail from that block. Went to the cemetery from that block. They never really got to see or do anything else. Luckily for me, I got to see some other things. I knew I could make some choices that were a little different than the ones that, you know, I remember just being a kid and having my dad, you know, my mother and father were broke up, but my dad would come pick us up, take us to all these different places. And then you come back to that block and your friends be outside like, where y'all go? What you got? You know, and a lot of them would want to fight you just because they ain't got nobody coming to pick them up.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying?
My little one's going through that right now.
Indeed,
you know,
indeed.
It creates jealousy, and that's the sad part. You know, I've been talking to, and I don't know if you know, but you know, I had a whole month of just nothing but the men coming on because I'm watching. You know, they're getting younger, coming over by me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm very transparent about what I do, and I tell people, I'm like, yo, I have to lock in my friends' kids. It never feel okay.
Sure, you had a couple of my family members in there. For sure,
It never. It's not something I get used to ever. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times when you look back, you're like, yo, it absolutely didn't even have to be that way. Like, I'll use an example when I lived up there, because one of the things that had me I had to learn, and I feel like this is what God was shaping, molding me to stay humble, because he knew what he had in store. When I was on the block, and I finally, you know, passed, you know, the academy and everything, and I'm a CEO. I'm a CEO showing up on Terrace Avenue, yo. It was insane. So I'm frustrated. I'm like, yo, God, you know, like, listen, I got this kid I gotta take care of. It's just me. I done took that step. I gotta get out of here. So I'm mad. I'm not thinking straight. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out. You know, maybe I was getting another apartment. And God flat out said, no, I'm gonna move you from this apartment to your own home. And every time another year came by, I was frustrated again. I'm like, yo, my son having another dope birthday party for his kid. Then we got to go back to that daggone apartment. Like, why is this happening? And God is just like, yo, be patient, stay humble, stay humble. And I just got tired of asking. And I promise you, it felt like as soon as I stopped asking and I just really let it go, he's like, now it's time. And I was broke. And I'm like, wait, time out. What? It can't be now because I ain't got no money. I'm like, wait a minute. And when I tell you, literally, I watched God orchestrate everything for me to be a homeowner. Like, everything. He told me who to tell, who not to tell, what to pray about, who to pray for. It was just crazy. And I'm like, I really had to be consumed by, you know, what he was telling me and stay focused. And I think that's what happens is with the block, people lose focus. There's so many people there that are still there that I know wanted to leave, and they lost focus. That time when I had my son, that's what really clicked the switch. I'm like, yo, no. He can't grow up here. You know what I'm saying? That was my why. I got to get out of here because of him. I got to be a homeowner because of him. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think the environment, people, places, and things, you get consumed by what's the normalcy, what's habit. You like, okay, I do want to go to college. You know, I would like to go into engineering or whatever. Nobody around me is doing that. You know, maybe I'll just jump out there and do it. But then that homeboy comes through like, yo, I got this for you. You know what I'm saying? I know you don't got it right now. I know Mom Deuce can't pay the rent right now. Yo, here you go. And then they be like, all right, well, forget it. And then they do that, and then they end up locked up. And now they feel regretful, like, dang, man, if I just, if there was somebody else to tell me, oh, yeah, go enroll in college. I got you. I probably would have went. And then
sometimes what's unfortunate is sometimes those people are the people that's closest to you. Sometimes those are your blood relatives that's doing that. Sometimes it's somebody that you really look up to that you say, they wouldn't tell me nothing wrong. You know, they just trying to put some money in my pocket, you know. But it is really a mentality, because I'll tell you, I grew up in those 3 different residences on Terrace. Not to mention I had cousins that lived in 45 Jackson, cousins that lived on Wendell, all of that. And that was my whole youth up until 10, and then we moved all these different places. When I moved back to New York, we go to Alabama, I graduate, I go to the military, come back to New York, and I live in Elmont, but I come over to the block and I see people, and this is still the mid-90s, and I was bugged to see some of my friends still lived in the same apartment.
Still there.
That I knew from kindergarten.
Yeah.
But when I got when, you know, me and my son's mom got together, got married, we ended up living at 20 Wendell, right around the corner down the street.
I lived in there for a while.
Yeah. That's like the Jeffersons over there. Like, it's crazy how the proximity is right there.
And totally
but
different.
You cross over Atlantic and it's a whole different mentality. Yep. Like, I didn't really understand that, but I'll be honest with you. I never understood it growing up that we were so poor on this little stretch. Yet you go a couple of yards, feet behind the park, and you got some of the biggest houses you ever seen.
You jump
people
over
driving the nicest cars with a whole lot of money.
You jump over the gate, and you in a whole nother planet. Like
tax bracket. You in a whole nother mentality. And I never understood how so many robberies occur on Terrace Avenue where you got poor people robbing poor people. And you got all these rich people right across the gate, but you know better than to go over there messing with them people because they're going to throw the book at you and you'll never see the street again.
The facts. That's why, you know, I feel like, and this is just me, you know, learning more about, you know, spirituality and stuff like that, you know, places like the block and other, you know, entities, you know, it's everywhere. It's in every country, in every town. You know what I'm saying? It's like a geographical curse over there. They kind of want to keep it that way. Do you understand what I'm saying? They got us at bay. They kind of want to keep us that way. And it's disheartening. You know what I'm saying? It is disheartening. And I know a lot of us, we have the opportunity to get out. But for me, I'm feeling like such an unction, you know, to get more involved and stay involved because I'm still on Long Island. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I think that's part of some of the issues as well. You know, some of us make it out and we like, peace. You know what I'm saying? And that's just a part of our testimony. But there are some who really want to be okay. They just don't have.
You said peace.
For real. Like, for real. And, you know, there are some, you know, just like I said, even with the youth, you'll be surprised. There are some amazing kids who have gifts, and it's their parents that's holding them back. Sometimes the parents, either they just don't see it for their kid because they didn't see it for themselves, so they hold them back, or they just expect someone else to do the work for them, and it's not always going to go that way. So regardless, the kid misses out. The kid loses. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so I think that's part of the issue where we have to tackle getting to them young. For one, we got to keep it a buck sometimes. We got parents having kids that can't read. So how you going to help your kid in school if you don't know how to read? You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be blamed. That's why we got so much issues with the schools and the educators, because they like, yo, I'm not coming to work fighting your kid because he got anger problems. He's probably frustrated because you're frustrated. He's bringing up to school. I don't get paid enough, beloved. That's not what I'm here for.
Yo, you know, I'll be honest with you. I used to call Fulton School Gladiator School. You know, we fought on the way there.
On the
we
Chinese
fought
grass?
on the way back. We fought in the cafeteria. We fought in the classrooms. It was just fighting. You know, I feel like Miss Sophia. All my life I had to fight.
All my life I had to fight.
Big shout to Richard Ferguson, man. He was everybody's nemesis at one time. he taught us a lot about these hands because we were all hurt. We were all going through our own traumatic experiences inside the house. So then when we come outside the house, we're already triggered. The least little thing is going to make you lash out. And I mean, like I said, I left the block at 10. It really wasn't no different when I got to Alabama because we moved to the projects.
Right.
And although all that proved to be was Terrace Avenue with country accents.
Right.
It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Then when I moved to the West Coast, I ended up in areas that was Terrace Avenue, but with a West Coast accent.
Right.
So what I ended up learning was poverty, pain was pain, and we suffer all across this planet if we don't get it together. And what we don't get together is our mentalities.
Right.
Our spirituality.
It comes down to there's so many layers. You know what I'm saying? But we got to start somewhere. And for me, I feel like, you know, when it comes to our household, you know, we understand that the drug era, excuse me, you know, what they put into our neighborhoods really damaged us. Like, we came to get a footing. You know what I'm saying? Some of us are blessed and we're good, but so many are not. We really can't get a footing. And it's a thing where, even like, I read something today that disturbed me, bro. Like, disturbed the heck out of me. You know, connected to women and their words against our men. I'm like, yo, y'all really gotta understand they go through enough as is. We are literally supposed to be their peace. So when they're dealing with the daily, you know, already being black and already being a man, already being looked at as, oh my goodness, you actually live in a home with your children. You know what I'm saying? Just so much disrespect that our men have to deal with. As the women, we gotta bring it down. Like, we gotta start really self-evaluating how we see our men. Because if we don't see them a certain way, no one else will. If we can't defend them when things are being said about them, how are they supposed to feel about themselves? So I think a lot of it really, we got to get to, you know, the actual household, the dynamics in the household. You know, okay, shout out to the stepfathers, you know, that hold it down for the kids. But at the end of the day, you know, when you start creating children with the mother, you know, how are you treating the other kid now? You know what I'm saying? Are they less priority now because you have your own with this woman? And that also, it has to be a thing where the woman is woman enough and mother enough to say, listen, this is how you got us. You got us as a package deal. We're going to keep that same energy, even though we got our kids. Because I've even watched that where women will allow whatever dude they with to make it very obvious that this kid is not theirs. You playing yourself.
I said that in a song.
You are playing yourself.
I said his moms can't help him. She got a new man. They just had a baby. They calling that the new fam. Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
and then that kid feels so dejected that he goes outside to get respected.
Yep.
And now he's a nut outside. Now he has no soul in his eyes. Because when your mother let you down, your daddy ain't around, you don't feel no connection to anything but pain.
Yeah.
And I'm going to run with this band of brothers. It's just like Wu-Tang said. I got with a sick, tight clique, and we went all out.
All out.
Now we're going to band together through our pain. We ain't going to be poor.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And you don't have that male, positive male. Like, because you may have males in the household, but do you have those positive male influences in your household?
Thank you for saying that. I had a neighbor that lived under me, right? Her kid was so sweet. Always respectful. It's sad that when a kid's respectful, they stick out. That's the problem, okay?
Yeah.
Bring back respect. So, always mannerable to me. Her and her dude were clearly on drugs. And it was just me and my oldest. He was small at the time. We were still on the block. And they would be don't hitting my floor. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, we would just be walking in the door. So they were constantly hearing things. I don't know they get high. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, whatever. So one day, the dude comes up and bangs on my door. Boom, boom, boom. You know, growing up there, when you hear that, we think it's the police immediately. You know what I'm saying?
Police or fire.
Yeah, so exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm on guard. Like, I'm sitting there. My little one comes out. He looking at me. So I'm like, first, let me see what's going on. Because I'm like, do I grab my weapon? Mm-hmm. So I look. I'm like, okay. I open the door. I'm not thinking nothing of I'm like, I don't know this cool. What's up? He yelling, go get your man. Go get your man. Yo, I'm tired of y'all making all this noise. And yo, I went to shut the door. Now the girl with him. His chick with him.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Because I want to lay hands and
I'm
feet
just hoping
on
that
her.
ain't no family member of mine.
No. I
don't even want to probe.
Actually, he passed away from, I think he overdosed.
Oh, man.
That's
I'm sorry to hear that.
He overdosed. But listen. So he only, yo, go get your man. And blah, 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 blah. He all that. And I'm just looking at her. Because I'm like, wow, I want to rock you to sleep. And I can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, ah. So I went to close the door, and he put his foot in the door. And this is why I go to church, you know, because I blacks out. So I'm looking at him. I'm looking at the foot, and I kind of like went somewhere else because I see my son walk up. So in my head, I'm like, yo, I can't even do nothing because my kid is right here. But I'm looking at old boy, and you know what came in my head? I said, this lady's going to get him killed. This woman is dangerous. This girl right here, who allow her dude to come up and knock on somebody's door, don't know what's going on in this apartment, don't know who I had in there, don't know what I had in there. You went upstairs to have him bang on somebody's door, not knowing if I had, and I did have it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It did, indeed. I've been in that same situation, yeah.
The female was the problem. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I totally get it.
It's an issue. But at the same token, him not being in his rightful place to say, listen, let me go see what's going on.
Yeah.
Whatever. Let me handle it. She the battery. That's how our men are dying as well. Do you understand what I'm saying? Not knowing their position or not being respected enough to be the voice in the home.
Yeah.
Because the women are like, oh, because I'm an entertainer woman and I'm a da-da-da. You're missing it. You're missing it and our men are dying. You're missing it and our kids are dying. Because while you bringing this dude in your home who on drugs and who rah, what's your son seeing, beloved?
Indeed.
So you can't be confused when he go out there being rah, and dating females like you.
Yeah.
Like, it got to start
somewhere. I mean, but that's who he's going to date because that's all he knows. I mean, in some form or fashion, we end up dating these figures that we saw. Yep. And I've saw that even in my own life, man. Not to take nothing away from my mom or whatever, but I've seen myself be drawn to some of the characteristics that weren't the most healthy characteristics of my development coming up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Even if I'm not necessarily displaying some of the characteristics of my mom, I sometimes found myself displaying some of the characteristics of some of the men she had around.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it's crazy, man. It's crazy. And, you know, we see so many things, you know, and again, it goes to that 2-word condition that me and one of your other guests was a guest of mine, therapist Cherie. Big shout out to Cherie.
Big shout out to Cherie, man. She got something.
She said she want her shirt too. I don't know what that's about, but she said she want her shirt.
I got you.
I don't know what that's about. That's between you and her.
She said relate the message.
Something about his shirt.
I got you, Cherie.
We used to talk about emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's not enough to think about what you read in a book. Nope. Sometimes it's not enough to talk about what you talk about at church as far as your spirituality. Right. What's going on with your emotions that you hearing noise? Because trust me, I had some noisy neighbors here. They moved out, thank God. But, you know, I used to boom, just to let them know, like, yo, you got people down here. I don't know what y'all doing at 12 o'clock at night. Like, but we got to sleep. We got things going on. But I know that I come from a situation that's just like, yo, I'm about to go up there. And, you know what I'm saying? So I can relate to the mentality of the brother that probably felt like he needed to come upstairs and say whatever. Again, you're not emotionally thinking about what you're doing. You just got angry.
In the moment.
Instant gratification. You want to solve this problem right now. So I'm going to go upstairs. Now, mind you, again, you say he don't know what you got in there, right? That you might have a weapon or whatever. But sometimes what they'll go up there and do is have their weapon with them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm banging on your door. I got my hammer on me. And as soon as you say something I don't like, now I done killed you in your doorstep. Your kid is right there to see it. He suffers post-traumatic stress disorder for the duration. Of course, my kids are going to suffer the post-traumatic disorder for the duration because I'm now gone. Yep. And now we have a family rivalry that's going to extend the test of time.
The facts.
Because I wasn't emotionally intelligent enough to say, you know what, I got to talk to the leasing agent in the morning.
Exactly.
And then sometimes when you go that route, the people from upstairs come downstairs and say,
yeah, they do.
Go to the leasing agency. You know what I'm saying?
It's true. It's true. It literally is a gamble. And the crazy part about that situation, shout out to Tooge and his mom, because it was my neighbor at the time. The noise literally was not coming from my apartment. It was coming from hers.
And they probably knew it. They just knew they didn't want no smoke with them.
No, she came over and was like, yo, what just happened? I told her, she's like, oh my gosh. She was like, I'm putting molding on the floor over. I'm like, yo, it don't even matter. And it like you said, it could have went somewhere else because I ended up saying something to my brother. This dude hangs up right on me like, who? Oh, I know him. Hold on. Yeah. I can't reach him now. I'm scared. I done put my brother involved. Once again, this is me, another female, getting another male involved, and it can go another route. So it ended up being where, weirdly, I have a party. The dude ended up showing up. He apologized to me. And I said what I just said to y'all. I said, yo, she's going to get you dead. I'm like, I'm not going to say nothing else to you. I don't know you from nowhere. I'm like, you don't know my story. You don't know who I got behind me. I said, but
Yeah.
that girl, that girl, she gonna end up having you in the ground, sir. I said, that's all I gotta say to you. I said, I want to see you live, but you're not okay in that relationship. I said that flat out.
Yeah.
Flat out.
Yeah. Serious.
Yeah.
And that leads us to another point of discussion, right? When we were going through all that we were going through as children, living in this particular area, I can tell you it was violent.
Yeah.
The first time I ever seen somebody pull a gun on somebody, I was probably 4 or 5 years old living over there. This is the 70s, you know? I seen different things, but I never seen it get so bad because to me, it seems like the soundtrack was still full of love. Meaning, when I turned on WBLS, I was listening to Love is the Message, Love and Happiness. I want to be loved. Love, 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 love. So even though all this violence is still going on in my neighborhood, in my heart, it's still full of love. You know what I'm saying? We still peace and love. It's always love. I just see a distinct difference now with the soundtrack being death, 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 shoot 'em, death, death. What do these kids do? I mean, because you already come from a crazy socioeconomic environment that puts you in a mindset of survival, so you sometimes blur the lines on what's right and what's wrong. You know, you add drugs, and that's an already combustible situation. But now you add this soundtrack of somebody who's saying, well, I'm just saying what I see in my life. You know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it real. But what you're keeping real for your entertainment value, another kid is taking as his instructional lesson.
Yes, sir.
So as this kid zip to the drip, zip with the drip, he goes, let's get to that. I like this kid. He always said, let's get to that. So let's get to that. How is that panning out in modern day Terrace Avenue? Because last time I was there 2 weeks ago, there was a young man that was murdered right there on the block. I came through there the next day, see kids crying, I see candles, I see balloons, and it's just too common.
It is
so,
getting,
What would you say to that, and as far as that soundtrack to this struggle nowadays, as opposed to what was going on in even your time coming up?
I gotta go back to what I originally said. You know, a lot of these people are not from there, so there's no connection. Like when I saw that group of kids fighting or young adults fighting, I'm like, they don't know me. Let me get my behind up out of here. You know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna say, oh, nah, I remember her from such and such when she was in the camp. They don't know me. So anything can happen in this moment. And so I think, first of all, the cult, and it sounds real ghetto what I'm about to say, but it's the reality of where I'm from. I feel like the code is no more. Like, because for me, I remember there being a lot of shooting. I remember we couldn't go outside some days and I would be mad. And I remember my brother losing friends at a certain point. I even remember some of the drug dealers actually used to stay at my house. Like we had that house. We had like a mother who was cool with everybody, and she was mama, and whoever, if they couldn't get home or they ain't had nowhere to go, they slept on the couch or they slept on the floor. So I would see a lot of them personally in my home, and then realize they wasn't coming around no more. But even with that, I don't remember it being a thing where they purposefully would be shooting when kids were outside. Sometimes it would just happen. You know what I'm saying? Now kids are actually dying, and it's like a thing. So I feel like there's no code, and it could be connected to they're not emotionally connected to that block because they're not from there. Do you understand what I'm saying? So even being, how can I say, even have a personal relationship with people that you grow up with, that you know is in the street, and they've chosen that life, but you still care about them, you still love them. You would know that certain things they just would not do when it came to the gun work. They just would not do. Like they would know, like, nah, we ain't doing that on no Sunday, or we know that mama such and such goes this way at that certain time, so we'll pop off later. I don't think they have that now.
But again, and I rap. That's what I'm known for. I get busy. I'm that busy. You know what I'm saying? But there's no leadership. What up, Bird?
What up, Bird?
Bird, the point guard, the facilitator. He threw the alley. We about to slam it home. You heard? but even with that, I just feel like, you know, when I was young, my favorite rapper was Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, KRS-One, and a lot of the messaging. And during the height of the crack era, was That's not what we doing. This is a code. We have a code we follow. I think the rappers of today, they don't have a code themselves.
Nope.
So if I'm already in a situation where my mom is on drugs, I don't have a dad here. All I have is this radio, and this is what's being programmed into my mind 24 hours. The radio was a 24-hour thing, not to mention now social media, YouTube, and all these other SoundCloud places you get music from. 24 hours a day, I'm being programmed with this negative message that says, yo, if you step to me, I'm going to bang you.
Yep.
I'll air this block out. I'll kill everybody in the house, even the kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I just think that has added to the apathy that we have in our communities right now, because it's way out of control.
Absolutely. I mean, just like you said, you know, we had the real rap back then, you know, rockin', they had messages. First of all, they had messages. They had real messages, you know, EPMD and, you know, we had real messengers, you know, in our music. And now I don't know what's happening. Like, listen, I'm so glad my kids don't know nothing about the music of today. You know, we still rock out to, like you said, ain't no half stepping. We still rocking out to the 90s. You know, we still doing Little Kid. We still doing these other rappers. But the energy, even it's disturbed me in driving to the point where I don't even like to drive with the music on no more. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather just drive, meditate, talk to God or whatever, because you really do have to protect your spirit gate. You'll start acting like these people. You know what I'm saying? What was the song? There was one of the guys, I think he might be R&B though, but he's talking about he want to kill himself. I feel like there's a lot of devil worshiping in the music. Like people just kind of numb. You know, perks and Xannies and all this stuff is like a thing now. I'm like, since when is drugs like popular? Everybody's like doing it. You know, even when, you know, we saw the coke and the crack and all, like, you ain't really hear them like glorifying the way they do now. Like, it's bizarre. It's very bizarre. So
you'd be ostracized. It'd be the opposite effect.
Yeah. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm like, y'all got a lot going on in y'all music, like, for real. It's just bad. So I think there's such an, and it's not all, because listen, there's some amazing young people. It's almost like there's like two groups. There's either a group where we have like the super dope young people that's like going to press conferences and standing up for us in reference to black people and HBCU, and they like, yeah, we here. And then we have that other that's like, I can kill myself any moment right now if I'm feeling some type of way. And then,
like, I don't care nothing about me, so why do you think I should care about you?
Yeah, they're like, I got 3 girls pregnant right now. That's on them. Like, it's different. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like a numbness. But at the same token, like I said, we got to get back. The foundation is the home. Like, we got to own the situation. We got to own what's been going on. And, you know, I feel like with our men, there need to be real conversations where y'all can actually be in a setting. Let me say this, be in a setting that you trust. Because I think that's why a lot of people don't share. They looking like, oh, they're going to judge me. But it needs to be atmospheres created with men who other men can trust and say, yo, this happened to me at this age and I haven't been the same ever since. I just been kind of coasting. I just been kind of showing up to my marriage. I just been kind of showing up as a father. But this thing, I can't shake it. And be able to cry and have somebody be like, yo, man, listen, you all right. We got you. Okay, but what we need to do? You know what I'm saying? Oh, this is what you can do. This is what work for me. And this is this. And don't feel alone because that happened to me too. And you understand what I'm saying? It's we got to put our men back in the household as actual leaders. But they got to be healed. You know, they got to be accepting that there's things to learn with this thing. Like I just shared actually last night at work. I don't know how we got this. Oh, one of my coworkers was saying something about his marriage, and you know, my wife left me, and she clearly planned it out because all my stuff was gone when I got there. And so I'm just listen. I know he's a hothead because I work with him, so I'm just listening. And he's like, I don't understand why she did what she did, and we're okay now, but you know, it was like a problem. I don't know why she did what she did. And I said, have you ever had conversation with other men for them to tell you what kind of energy you get off? That could be maybe she's afraid of you. And maybe that's the only thing, the option she had was like, I got to get up out of here before something happens. Me and my child, before my child gets here. I said, I don't think we have the right conversations in these settings for our men. for another man to say, listen, respectfully, I'm not taking nothing from you as a man, but I've been there. You're going to have to pull back. You're going to have to accept some of the things that you actually done to this woman. You're going to have to accept some of the things you actually done to your child. You know what I'm saying? And go from there. The whole, well, I did it, I'm sorry now, we got to move on. That's not always enough. That's not always enough. And sometimes it takes another man to tell, you know, our men, listen, I get you, but we're going to have to start making strides towards doing it differently. Moving to another woman ain't going to fix it. You know what I'm saying? Because now you're going to strategically look for a woman who's going to deal with your brokenness. And now you're going to have children, they're going to be broken. So we're just doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And then I'm going to probably end up locking your child in because it came from brokenness. And then you're going to get to a point where you're tired of your child going to jail and you're going to give up on them. And now they're in jail hurting people because they hurt. So I feel like it still comes back to, you know, our household. And even with the women, you know, I'm definitely not getting on the men. I love our men. But even with the women, you know, some of us have chips on our shoulders because we feel like, you know, we've had to do everything. He living his life. I ain't got a choice because I got to take care of the baby because the baby's with me and blah, 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 blah. Oh, and now I'm at a certain age where I'm going to live my life because he been living his life. And it still leaves a child without. While y'all trying to figure out who going to do what to who, the child is lost because they love both parents. So I think there needs to be a thing where we own our brokenness and we choose to heal. And that's what will make these environments better.
Yeah, I think it's a little sad too because when I hear you say that, even when I was a kid and I would hear people say, well, it starts at home, I sometimes think that we can sometimes take for granted that there is a home.
The facts.
You know, as somebody that ran a group home, you know what I'm saying, before, these kids sometimes have nobody.
Oh, I know.
You know? And now they're encourageable by each other because they're going to do what they feel they have to do to survive. So now these become the rules that they live by. So, yeah, I would probably teach that young man, if you want something, you got to go out and earn it. But his mentality says, if I want something, I got to go out here and take it. You know what I'm saying? Because ain't nobody ever gave me nothing. And ain't nobody coming to give me nothing. I don't have a daddy coming to pick me up on the weekends or whatever. You know? And sometimes it's even worse if, say, the mother has a couple of different fathers for her children. And then there's one good father. He's doing what he needs to do by his kids.
We've seen that.
You know? But the other kids are having to kind of fend for themselves, and they build up a resentment of the kid who has the father that cares for his child.
That's a fact. And so does a mother at times. You know what I'm saying? And that's the
or
thing.
Sometimes she has a resentment against the child whose father is doing for him because she knows she has two other baby fathers that don't do anything.
She'll convince herself that man should be obligated to do for other kids, and that's not so. We got to fix these things. You know what I'm saying? We got to fix these things, and that comes from ownership. You owning that, you know, you had children with different men. You knew what they were like when you got with them. You know, this one happened to be a good one and he's going to do for his child. If he wants to do for those others, that's on him, but he's not obligated. So, you know, I've watched that. I've watched that. And I've watched the kids who happen to be the child that has the involved parent want to be loved on so bad by the mom and by the other sibling, and they just can't get it. And it crushes them. And then they don't know how to treat their dad. Because they feel like, dad, like, because I have you now, I don't have the love for my mother and my sibling because they look at me some type of way. It just, we got to do better. Like, we have to do better because it's damaging our communities. And like I said, how terrace is set up and D Block and all those other places, and you can go to Louisiana, whatever. All these different places is almost set up for us to stay that way. And it doesn't have to be that way. But we got to get to the internal root of what's been going on all this time. And you're not going to save everybody. You're just not. But if you can reach one, you got a platform. If you can reach some, you know, we doing our part. We doing our work.
I mean, it's beautiful to see us being alumni of the block, that we have a mentality that doesn't necessarily speak to the mentality that was happening when we came outside. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's still disheartening that we can have this conversation, and it's like we're preaching to the choir, and we could go out there. And I tell people, you know, when I've had other conversations such as these, is just as sure as we're saying all of this good stuff, there is somebody who's very influential in those situations that will tell us, shut the fuck up. Nobody want to hear that shit. Fuck is you supposed to be?
Yeah.
And I'm only saying this for emphasis. You know, and I'm not just taking an opportunity to show people that I can curse. But this is what sometimes lands a lot harder than me telling a young boy, yo, come on, man, I'm gonna come by and pick you up next week now. Because I got other responsibilities too. I got a kid, I got things I gotta do, but I do consider myself to be a father of the village, and I want to help as many kids as I can.
Right.
But charity starts at home. Absolutely. So this is sure as I'm telling that kid, yo, I'm gonna come get you on Saturday, and we're gonna do this, that, and the third. And big shout to my brother Dennis, big shout to my cousin Dingle, and big shout to all of these brothers out here that work with the kids and give them outlets and things, because some of them have nothing at all. But just as sure as we can't be there every second of the day, every moment, there is somebody in that neighborhood that is there.
Absolutely.
And he's like, all right, go with that nigga and stay broke, or run with me and put some money in your motherfucking pocket, get you a girl, get you a chain, get you a car. You know what I mean?
Listen, I spoke about this with someone from our block that I interviewed. And I said, you know, do you feel that we're lacking with the OGs? And he goes, oh yeah, definitely. He's like, there's none. There's none.
There's none. And that's our fault.
Yeah, he goes, I remember. He goes, I remember, you know, being small and doing stuff, and my pop's friend would see me like, man, if you don't get over here and check me, you know what I'm saying? He's like, we don't have that no more. And I started,
you know why?
Huh?
You know why?
Why?
Because I could go to a shorty on Terrace Avenue right now, see him totally out of pocket. This just happened to me in Baltimore not too long ago. I see a shorty totally out of pocket. I pull him up and say, yo, shorty, come here for a second, I'll at you. Yeah, what's up? Yo, shorty, you know you kind of out of pocket. Yo, mind your business, OG. You don't fucking get to tell me what to do. You know why? Because I got this, and you don't.
Yep.
So mind your business. Get on. This is what I'm doing. You ain't going to tell me what to do. It's almost like every kid is Mad Dog from Good Times right now. Remember when Mad Dog was beefing? I know you're a little young, but they had the reruns. You know what I'm saying? Like every kid is Mad Dog.
No, I'm laughing, but it's not funny. I'm laughing.
We laugh, but it's not. It's definitely serious as everything that's happening.
This is what I'll say, and I'm just speaking for me. I don't know. You mentioned that you know, every time that we're saying this, the positive part, that somebody gonna say negative. That has nothing to do with me. That's my attitude. I'm gonna do my part, my way, in the capacity that I can. And for those who grab a hold, I did my part. I don't even gotta know that you grabbed a hold. I did my part by sharing it, by saying it, by doing my work, the work that I'm supposed to be doing, or the work that I'm able to do at this time. You know, I think that's what happens a lot of times too. People get discouraged because they're like, oh, ain't nobody listening. You don't know that. You don't know that. But they can't listen if you're not talking. Or they can't show up if you don't have that event. Or they can't show up if you're not building a team at that tournament. You know what I'm saying, Dennis?
Preach,
so
girl. Preach.
It's what it is. You know, I have tunnel vision. That's why I had a phone call recently by somebody that threw me all the way off about an interview I had. I got tunnel vision, beloved. Yeah. I know how to put myself out here. I'm ready for it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No doubt.
It's tunnel vision. I know my why. My why is for my community. My why is for my sons that see their mother out here doing it and making sure that they don't have to go through some of the stuff that she went through. My kids don't know nothing about Terrace Avenue. Literally nothing. Even the one that was over there for a few years, I didn't bring him outside. We went to different parks. We went out of the country. He done seen Blue Waters at 5. We did a bunch of stuff, but I didn't let him dwell outside to even get a portion of we might have to run because somebody's shooting. He don't know.
Which is terrible though. Which is really terrible though, man. It has to be that way, but it happens. And I know
it's
exactly
real. It's real. It's real.
Yeah.
So it's a mindset of I either take it like, man, I live here. I'm gonna go outside. They start shooting, I'm gonna have to run. Or, nah, I gotta protect my peace of mind, and my child. So he don't have to know nothing about it. It's cool. We don't be here forever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Tunnel vision and sticking to the plan, sticking to what your why is. And I think that's what happens a lot of times. And I think that's why a lot of times we be losing is that if I start a program, if I start a podcast and that has his, I want to be like, oh, I'm going to start one too because I know more people. Or I can reach this one. Instead of teaming up with that, who has a vision, and I agree with his vision, I want to do my own just because. And that causes division. Because
that's very Hempstead. That's a very Hempstead mentality.
Because everybody that's over here with you, when you don't even have a plan, you just doing it because Nat doing it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you don't have no why. You just have, clearly Nat is your why. You know what I'm saying? Nat is your why. Nat doing it, and you feel like, oh, I could do it too, and I got more followers than him. Let me go do it. That causes division. When y'all can actually just come together and, you know, do a collaboration. Everybody come together, see how dope Nat is, see what his vision is, and oh, well, I know how to do that too. Oh, well, maybe I can make the flyers. I'm a graphic designer. And then you start making money for each other. But we missing all of that. Because we low key competing with each other. You gotta stop that. So I got tunnel vision. If somebody over here talking junk about, oh, she started a podcast, she think, girl, you're gonna keep talking. I don't hear nothing.
No doubt.
I don't hear nothing. I promise you I know.
Wow. And that's a perfect segue for us to unpack that.
Yeah.
Can you tell us all about the Lady Hot Mic, the Lady She, and how that came to be, what it's about, what it encompasses, and what you got going on with that?
So, man, listen, God is the greatest. God is amazing. And listen, let me just say this real quick before I go into it. Don't allow other people to tell you what you cannot be. Period. Don't even allow people to have you feeling like you don't hear from God, first of all, because people will try to tell you that could have been them. Like, man, move around with that. I know what I heard. I know what he said, and it's definitely me. So the podcast came about. Shout out to my friend. He's like another brother. I don't want to call him little brother. He older now. My boy Jamel Jackson. He grew up on Terrace too. He's from Hempstead. He been on me about starting podcasts. Like, he like, yo, niece, man, I'm seeing the videos. What you doing? You playing? And I'm like, I don't know. And this comes from childhood. I had a speech in elementary school. It's weird. I was a dancer, singer, actor, could do all of that with no problem. But when it came to speeches, I'll be crippled. So I had to say a speech. Nothing came out of my lips. And one of my close friends at the time, mother, started laughing like hysterical at me.
Foul ball.
So tears came, and I was kind of battling with it ever since 6th grade. Yeah. So I was praying about it. I would get emails. I would get inboxes with people like, oh, you know, why don't you do your video? I would go live sometimes and record myself in the car just venting or just talking about certain things. I would see videos and stuff, and I'd be like, yo, did y'all see that video today, man, where the mother bought the bike for the daughter, trying to make the guy that's not the father, and the little girl said, I miss my daddy, he in jail. Like, I'll just start talking about different subjects. So people would hit me up like, oh, I haven't seen your videos in a while. Like, you know, you haven't done them in a minute. They would keep me going, headed to work, or it'll make my day. And I'm like, what? Wow. And I'm like, okay, you know, it would be sporadic. So I kept getting an influx of that, and then he'll hit me sporadically, like, yo, niece, what's good? Did you get your microphone yet? I'm like, oh God. I'm like, no. He like, stop playing. So long story short, we go, I gift my husband this trip to Atlanta to this conference, and the person interviewing people is like the podcast king. And I'm like, oh, good God, this is definitely a sign I'm playing myself. So I'm listening to him, I'm watching his body language, and I'm like, yo, this dude is a millionaire behind interviewing millionaires. This is insane. I'm like, I'm missing the bag. But I didn't want to go into it with that mentality. So I still kind of waited. And then it just kind of happened. I said, yo, okay, God, like this is the one. I'm like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I'm doing it. So I took his course, and everybody vibing, and, you know, very intimidating. And I'm like, yo, just stay focused. Like, if you drown in the beginning, who cares? Like, just.
That's not my man Sleepers for Suckers, right?
Yeah, Dave, shit, my mentor.
Small world.
For sure. So Dave, you know, giving us the bars, and he like, you know, I'm like, yo, I'm jumping out there, bro. Forget that. So I'm hitting him. I'm like, yo, Dave, I'm on my 10th episode. You know, I'm talking junk. I'm like, yeah, see me, fam. And he like, okay. So we hit each other up. So it became like somewhat of a family where we're encouraging each other. And, you know, you'll see people feeling down on themselves like, yo, I'm scared to start my first one. I'm like, yo, just do it scared. So that's when I'm like, yo, I'm going to just do it scared. Like, I'm going to just do it. So now in reference to my guests, that's been literally God. Like, I'm like, okay, God, people reaching out to me. You know, you speak to me about who should do what, and, you know, who's right for the platform. You know, I want to stay focused on my why. You know, I got the she 3 E's, encourage, empower, and educate. I'm like, do they fit that platform? I don't want to get off course, God. I want to make sure you're pleased with me. So it's been a real thing. It's been exciting at the same time. I'm still scared and nervous, but I'm still doing it. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
still doing it.
I know. I can tell.
Yeah.
I go through the same thing.
It's been a
It's funny
blessing.
with Dave though, is because I heard of him because I used to live in Atlanta. I used to live in an area called Vinings, which is not far from the Cobb
Vinings.
County
My
Mall.
homegirl used to live there for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm in
Very nice.
the mall one day and I see the Sleepers for Suckers kiosk. And I kind of was like, oh, I like that. You know what I mean? And the young kid that was working the kiosk goes, hey, yo, big man, you should get one if you like it.
I said, it was probably Jamel.
I'm being real with you. Is he light skinned?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm walking and I'm like, nah, Duke, you ain't got my size. He said, if I got your size, you'll get one. I said, yeah. He had my size.
Yeah.
And I'm end up chopping it up with him. I said, yo, where you from? He said, I'm from Hempstead. He said, I'm from New York. I said, me too. What part? He said, I'm from Long Island. I said, me too. Where at? He said, Hempstead. I said, me too. Where at? He said, Terrace. I said, get out of here, son.
That's it.
And of course, he knew the mayor, Dennis. He knew Bird. You know, that's my homie. So we ended up chopping it up, and he told me about Dave, and that was back in 2000 and I want to say 14, 15, something like that. And I can't, same guy. That's crazy.
Same guy.
Bird. It's a small world, man.
Super small.
But
super small.
I just kind of played it from a distance. And but speaking to what you were saying, when I started this God Hour thing, it was just to have a conversation with my homies. You know, it was the God Hour. The gods was gonna get together and build it, the God Hour. And I ended up talking to so many people during the pandemic that it got kind of redundant to me. And I was just like a little, I don't want to do it. Like, I didn't think it was as interesting because sometimes you don't see all the numbers. Like, I don't think the numbers went double digits since we've been talking. Even though we've shared a wealth of information. And so I stepped away from it. But I get a lot of calls of people saying, yo, what happened to the God Hour? Yo, what's going on with the God Hour? And I'm like, well, y'all ain't even really watching like that. But it ain't about what happens in real time. Sometimes we can say what we're saying now and people will get it on the playback. And it's been put out there in the universe. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely dig it. But that is a small world.
Absolutely.
And that kid, Dave need to give that kid Jamel a raise or something like that. Because he's brought a lot of
Trust me. You gotta follow him. It's called the Jamel Lewis. Jamel Lewis, Jesus Christ. The Jamel Jackson The Value TV show now. Trust me, Dave.
Send me a link, please. I'm gonna definitely hit him up because
they are actually friends. They are like brothers. So trust me.
Yeah, he told me that. He told me a lot of good stuff.
They
and this
close.
Before Dave had a podcast.
They close.
Before that.
Yeah, they closed.
I think he might have still been at the Cheesecake Factory at that time.
Probably.
I think so. I think so, man.
They super close. But you know, it's divine connections. Period. It's divine connections. Divine connections, and you know. He has his own TV show right now. You know, Jamel Jackson, definitely check him out. He's dope. He was actually my first podcast I ever did an interview with. And that's actually, I made reference to it earlier when I said I did another podcast and I shared this when I spoke about the child molestation. He like this. I didn't know that. I said no one.
You kept it in the neighborhood though. We all from the block.
Yeah, the facts.
You know, again, and I touch on that too in my music. I said, you know, we're a bunch of kids that came up, you know, get in touch by older cousins and preachers.
The facts.
Our pops wasn't up in the bleachers. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's things like that we go through, that we have a connection. And I think that's something that needs to be unpacked a little bit more too, is the sexual molestation and things of that nature that happen within families that don't get talked about, yet the person who committed the offense is still embraced by the family, and they don't want you to say nothing because they don't want to be embarrassed. Meanwhile, this person has been angry ever since that happened. And instead of y'all dealing with what made this person angry like that, you want to sweep it under the rug because it holds you accountable as to why you didn't do nothing about it when you could have.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I had to realize, you know, as I got older and I understood, you know, the damage that it did to me. You know, I was very numb as a kid. Besides the dancing, the acting, and everything else, but other than that, I was mean. You know what I'm saying? That's how it showed up in me. I wasn't promiscuous, but I learned that a lot of the girls that were promiscuous, they went through it. And instead of people trying to figure out what was wrong with them, they just calling them fast. They just calling them, you know, out.
Guys too.
Yeah, guys too, exactly. And that's
and I'll even go so far as to say this. there are some guys that are strictly heterosexual dudes, but something might have happened in their past where somebody did some homosexual stuff to them.
I know
they
something.
can't do nothing about it, so now they try to even that playing field by be trying to slay as many women as they can to say, yo, that ain't,
it's a
you
thing.
know.
It's a thing. I did my first video, my first YouTube video with just me talking was about sexual assault and child molestation, because D. Ray Davis shared on, what is it, Vlad TV, I believe it was.
Yes,
and
I see that.
I was ticked off because they started laughing.
Well, you know, Vlad, he's not, you know, he's a culture vulture, so he don't really.
He different. So I saw in D. Ray's eyes, his energy shifted. And I knew that look. Do you know what I'm saying?
And he said that. He said, you laughing, but it's real. That happened to me.
He said, no, he's like, yo, he started making jokes about it after they laughed because that's what makes him comfortable. He's a comedian. That's how he deals with his pain. You know what I'm saying? That's how he deals with his pain. So, of course, he ended up making a joke about it. He's chuckling, but he's hurting. You could tell. You could tell in his eyes. So that's when I did the video. I'm like, yo, we need to really be talking about this. I said it happens to guys a lot, and they don't talk about it. You know what I'm saying? You wonder why he has no feeling when it comes to sex. He's broken. He has unhealed. He has unprocessed hurt. Nobody told him about it. He gonna feel
embarrassed. He's not by himself, man. There's a lot of us out here that are dealing with that same thing.
Yeah.
And that's another elephant in the corner of the room that people don't like to touch on. But I do want to take this time to salute you, sis. You know, people talk about giving flowers, but flowers die. So I just want to give you life. You know, and because I think that we're a lot alike for whatever it's worth. And I don't know if you see things like I see things, but I see things sometimes that don't make any sense to me until much later. And it didn't make any sense to me back in 99, 2000, 2001, when I used to see you on the block. You know what I'm saying? You be out there, and I'm looking at your face, and I'm amazed because there's a lot of pretty light-skinned girls that have these faces, and sometimes they get a little scar right here, and they get a little scar right there because somebody wanna, you know, they don't feel like you need, you know, and to see that you kind of, you don't look like what you've obviously been through and things of that nature, you know. I didn't know it then, but this is making it all make sense now to have this conversation with you that there was supposed. And I'll be honest with you, your brother probably don't remember me. My government name is Charles. I was in his kindergarten class. I was in his first grade class, second, and I think I left there in third. Okay. But, you know, Salik was my best friend back then.
Shout out to Suge, man. That's family.
Yeah, that was my good brother back then, man. And there was so many of us, man. And we walked to school together. We walked home together. We stole from Bob's store. The store that was across the street. That's the charter school now.
It's never been man. Never been the same.
So we all go back. We all family, even if we didn't know it. Right. You know, and I must applaud you for you know, surviving. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That. Because I know how hard that was. Thank you so much, man. And I don't think we do that enough with each other. Is it seems small and it seems insignificant because it's just life. But when you make it out of there and you're still, like you said, not looking like what you've been through, man,
your mental still intact.
Yeah, it's worthy of praise, man, because we go through it before we even know what it is. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up there living in 100 Terrace, the Eldorados, when there were fires like every week. Fire. People set the incinerator on fire. Girls getting raped in that building. Boys, little boys getting molested. You know, all kind of things happen in those little compartments that they call, you know, apartments, but they're compartments. And it's almost like a jail almost. Like, it's like, and the police, really even the way they...
Its own world. Its own world. And that's why, you know, we said earlier, a lot of stuff that we looked at it was normal. I should not know what crack smell like. Like, why did I know that as a kid?
Stinks. Yeah.
Why did I know the difference between that smell and marijuana or a cigarette? And I'm a whole kid. Why did I know? Like, no, we're not going up that staircase right now because I see what they're doing. Because I see two people walking the staircase together. No, we're taking the elevator. Oh, the elevator broke. We're taking the other steps. You know what I'm saying? Like, the stuff we had to normalize, we should not have to. But, you know, thank God we're able to, you know, speak about it now, and we're on the opposite side, and we're able to help people understand you can do well, you can get out as well and do what you need to do, or you can, you know, be a mentor or whatever, and they will have you. you know, and just tell people, be real, tell people your story, you know, period. I ain't know what's gonna happen when I came up here. I'm like, yo, I'm myself. Like whatever you
I love
you don't get the truth.
To be honest with you, I don't like to have it any other way. I don't like to have a pre-conversation sometimes for the conversation, because I think that my genuine curiosity is going to have me ask questions that other people may want to know at the same time.
Right.
But if I already think I know you, then I probably just, we have like, well, you know, I hate when I listen to the conversations and they say, well, you know, we know each other. So I want to know. Tell me what's going on. That could probably help me, you know. But I'll tell you one thing that me and you have in common too is with our children. I live here in Baltimore now. I live on the outskirts in the county. You know what I mean? And one time we were driving through the city, me and my son. He was probably about 4 or 5 years old at the time. And I remember him asking me. He said he looked at some of the, you know, the Baltimore's kind of rough.
They got real slums out in Baltimore.
Yeah. And he said, Dad, is this the ghetto? And I swear in my heart I was like, yes.
He really had no idea.
You don't even know what this is, bro. You don't know about roaches in your cereal box. You don't know about.
You don't know about that block of cheese.
That block of cheese. He don't know about that. Yeah, but it's a small feat. You know, that's a small feat. We have so much more ground to cover because we start so much further behind a lot of other people that have a greater sense of themselves and their responsibility here on this planet.
Absolutely.
And I just hope that people from our neighborhood that currently live there or used to live there and still have the mentality, because you know what they say, you can take the boy and the girl out of TA.
You can't take it.
TA normally out of us, and it's still there.
Listen, I make reference to all. I'm like, yo, I almost went TA on them. Like, I promise you, I say it. I'm like, listen, you almost got the terrace, girl. Calm down.
You don't want to see that person right there. But I hope that somebody can look at this conversation that we're having, get something out of it, and say that you don't have to be what you endured. You don't have to be what you went through. You don't have to claim that anymore. You can start today. I don't care how old you are. I'm a proud to be 50-year-old black man, which is almost like a dinosaur in America. You know what I'm saying?
Salute.
This new mentality didn't really kick in until I was probably close to 40. You know what I'm saying? Or a little past, you know?
Listen, sir, thank you for saying that. I flat out said on Jamel's podcast, the Value Podcast, I said, I literally feel that I just started to actually know what self-love was in my 40s. And I'm only 43. And I'm good with that. Because some people die and never know what loving themselves is. So I'm good. I'm good with understanding that I'm still learning me. And the more I feel like, even the more you learn yourself, that's how you can be effective in the things that you're doing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm Nat, Charles, whatever. You know, I've been through some stuff on TV.
Both of them are my names. My middle name is Nathaniel. I have no
qualms
about that.
I got you. Yeah. But I've been through some stuff, but I'm on the other side of it. You know what I'm saying? So I know it's possible.
Even if I'm barely on the other side of it, I'm on the other side of it. You know what I mean? I can still see what the shambles and all of that stuff there. But you know, and it's sad because I got family members I love with all my heart, and I can't talk to them as much as I would like to because they try to pull me back to a place that I fought so hard to escape from. You know, it's one thing to escape slavery and get to the North, but it's another thing to escape that poverty mindset. It's another thing to escape that trauma that you experience and stay away from it, man. Because sometimes you can get out of it. You see people all the time where we come from. They get out of jail, they clean, they going to church, they going to the mosque, they working out. And then one good night out on the block, they come home pissed and drunk. And now they back in. They started now, before you know it, they into justice again. So
people, places, and things. You got to learn. Listen, I tell you, there's so much power in the word no. I wish I knew when I was 20-something years old. Like, no has literally been my favorite word as I've gotten older, because I realized that the more and more people pull on you, you're missing your mark. Like, you are missing your own mark. And at the end of the day, you know, even when it comes to like users never quit. Like, you got to be the one to stop that. You know what I'm saying? You got to be the one to be like, nah, like, I'm trying to do this over here. And every time you call my phone, I feel like I'm going backwards, because you absolutely are. You are going backwards, you know, and that's okay. People will end up having to catch on to the new you. That's what I'm gonna tell people. People have to either conform to the new you or keep it pushing. And we all know it may sound all cliche, but everybody in your life for a reason and a season. And sometimes that's people who are literally your blood. And it is what it is. You know, you can't. People have no problem with keeping you down with them. Like they have no problem. You got to either be able to come up with me, or I say I love you. I will see you later. It's no hard feelings. Like I can't. It's first of all, we need to be living like we're obligated to be better people because of the people who are looking onto us. That's how I try to live.
Indeed. And like sometimes people say you got to meet people where they are. Sometimes you got to leave people where they are.
The facts.
It's unfortunate, but sometimes I did the best I can. They'll tell you I can't swim to this day, and I was in the Navy. I can't swim.
Wow.
Yeah, it happened. Was you going to the pool living on Terrace? I wasn't going to the pool. You know what I'm saying? We have a pool.
You ain't go to Echo Pool?
What pool?
Echo.
I don't even know where that's at. That's
in West Hempstead. That was cool.
They wasn't letting us over there back then.
Now, you know what's funny? My brother know how to swim either, so that might be y'all generation.
It definitely is, man. It definitely is. But one thing I do know, they say if somebody is drowning, unless you're a skilled lifeguard, you can't try to save them because they'll pull you down with them. And sometimes you have to be strong enough to know who you can help, but you have to be smart enough to know who you cannot help.
Absolutely.
You know, and we got to start with these babies. And that just leads me to my next question, and it'll probably be my last question is there any mentoring programs or any type of things of that nature that you're affiliated with? Because I know that there are so many young people, especially young women, that can get so much from what I see coming from you in this conversation.
Well, for me, with the young ladies, I feel there's a slew for the young ladies. For the young men, the people that I've had on the podcast thus far, shout out to Flex Watts from Hempstead.
Oh, that's my father from way back. That's my classmate too. That's my man.
He has run through the one in Hempstead. We got Mr. Saunders that I had on the podcast as well. Keith Saunders, he's out east though. He is Sonya.
Real deep brother. I watched that episode.
Yeah, he's super dope. You know, he even brings in the officers. That's how we ended up connecting, you know, through the officers. The Black officers coming in to speak to the youth. Let me see. We have Boys into Men through Zion Church. That's huge. You know, they end up filling up Hofstra when they have events and different things of that nature. Also in affiliation with Zion as well, there's girls, I think it's called Girls Talk, I believe it's called. It just had actually a young lady who's about to come on the podcast. Shout out to Shayna Bowers. She has an amazing story. She's from the block as well. So they just had her as one of the speakers at the Girls Talk event there through Zion for the young ladies. Let me think of another one for the girls. Girls.
Is there any plans for you doing your own thing?
I would love to. But we go back to
You're so careful with your words.
Yeah, I am. Because I don't like to just say stuff just for clout.
I feel you.
Yeah, I'm one thing, I'm always me. So when God says, let's do it, it's a go. And it's going to be like a podcast. I'm going to jump out there.
It says it's not even up to you. It's up to the energy that he provides to you. I feel you.
Absolutely. Because I'm learning that too. We're learning me. I'm learning that, you know, the childhood thing, you know, having to do a lot so we can have. I've always been that way. So I'm always doing. I've never had like literally just one job. I've always had more than one job. That's a problem. You know what I'm saying? That means you got to manage your money a little better. You know what I'm saying? You know, I've always been like a go-getter. Ideas come to my head and I'll just start moving on the ideas. But as I've gotten older, I realized every idea that I have is not for me to do at this moment. And that's okay. I know they say time waits for no one.
I'm gonna slow down a little bit.
Yeah, I know they say time waits for no one, but I feel like God is time. So just like if I want to go to school when I was pregnant to get my degrees and all different things, we make time for the things we need to be doing, the things that are actually for us. I don't do things just because. So when he puts that in order, I'm busting a move. Period. But for now, I'll support whoever's out there doing the work. Because they might not be out there like they should be. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe they can speak to me on my platform and, you know, whatever followers I have to come on, they'll start reaching out to them. Shout out to Black Long Island as well on Facebook. I don't know if you're on Facebook, but that group is super dope.
I gotta find it.
Yeah, you gotta find it. Black Long Island, you know, it's a place where Black entrepreneurs, doctors, lawyers, whoever, all is in Long Island. If you have a service, if you have a product or whatever it is, you put your information in there, people search it in there, you know, engineers down to, you know, masonry, all kind of stuff, and they're all Black owned. They put their reviews up there, you know, people put your name out there. It's super dope. So shout out to them, because a nice amount of my guests came from that actual group, and I made a nice little chunk of money off of them as well with my shirts. So you know, iron sharpens iron. We have to put ourselves out there so we can see each other. We just assume sometimes that we're not doing certain things, and it's not true. We're just not putting ourselves out there. So, you know, shout out to everybody with the youth programs and groups. Definitely check out Flex and Soye and Girls Talk and Boys.
And I'm proud of Flex, man, because Flex wasn't always
dope.
The Flex y'all know today, man.
Yeah,
I know Flex from Prospect. Yes, that was my, you know, I know his whole family.
Shout out to the Watts family, yeah.
I'm really proud of him, man, and he was so dope with them Clippers for so long, man.
He's still doing it. He's still doing it.
I used to go back down south with my name cut in the back of my head. Flex used to have me laced, man. For sure,
He's still doing it. He's still doing it. I'm trying to get in that shop though. I'm trying to.
Curtis Watts, that's my man.
Yeah,
yo.
I'm putting you out there, Flex. I done said it again. All right.
Yeah, he cut my hair before I even married my son's mom, man.
Wow.
That day, no, I went there the day before. Flex said, I said, yeah, Flex, you know I'm getting married tomorrow. He said, tomorrow? He said, man, come see me 5:30 in the morning. I ain't even gonna cut you now because you wash your hair, it's gonna look different. And he was up early in the morning for me to come through to get my hair cut, so I was late.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Love
but
that.
you know, I love my town, man. I love that we were able to have this conversation. Could you please just give the people any and all information and where they need to find you and things of that nature so they can stay abreast?
Absolutely, absolutely. So you guys can follow me on Instagram. I gotta chill out. I got 3 pages on Instagram.
It's all good.
I have the t-shirt company, which is She's Got Tees, which is Instagram, which is, excuse me, at one word, She's Got Tees. Don't forget the SHESGOTTEES on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook. She's Got Tees LLC. I have Hot Mic Lady She on Instagram as well, which is Hot Mic. No, excuse me, which is Hot Mic Lady. I think I'm saying it wrong. No,
it's right up here, y'all. If y'all,
yeah. It's hot. It's hot. I think it's Hot Mic with Lady _podcast.
No, it's Hot Mic Lady She. That's what it looks like here.
Hot Mic Lady She _ podcast on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook as well. Hot Mic with Lady She on Facebook. To order the book, you can email me at she'sgottees@gmail.com. For the shirts, if you have questions as well, you can inbox me, DM me, or email me at she'sgottees.com. Also at she'sgottees. she'sgottees@gmail.com, excuse me. And have the website, she'sgottees.com. For your writing services, you can email me at iamauthor217@gmail.com.
Now, what's that about?
That is about... Services. I know I kind of slipped that in there. So, I don't want to like throw it all out there. I'll just say this.
Throw it out there, though.
Yeah, I'll just say this. If you want to be an author or you want to sharpen your writing skills, hit me up. Okay. Even with all that we were talking about today, I really want to encourage people to tell your story. You see what's going on in our education. This country is crazy when it comes to our people. They want to burn books and get rid of our stories. We got to tell our own stories out here.
Critical race theory,
like,
all of this
real
stuff.
Talk. We got to tell our own stories, and don't allow nobody to tell you that you're not a writer or your story's not enough, or you know you think too what do you call abstract. So what? Write it and see what happens. I'll help you. If I can help you, I'll help you. So that's what that is. I'm a big journaler, so I always tell people if you don't really have too many people to talk to, so to speak, just write it down. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very therapeutic. I feel like that's what's gotten me through so much as a child, me writing things down. So, if you want to learn about writing or, publishing your own book, hit me up. If I can't do it at the time, I got people that will help you. You know what I mean? This is not about me getting praise or anything. I just want to get your story out there, get your work out there, and bless the people. People need to hear other people's stories so they understand they're not the only ones that went through certain things.
No doubt.
You know, and that's that.
That's love. That's love, man.
I think that's about it.
Miss Shenisse, I really appreciate you. Love, love, love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
TA all day.
Oh, wait,
you know?
I'm sorry. If you want me to come to your school or any type of event, you know, as a motivational speaker, you can hit up one of the DMs. It don't matter. I'm still the same person.
No doubt.
Hit up one of the DMs, especially for the youth. I have such a heart for the youth. So if you want me to come in, I don't have to be a CO. I could just be me. You know, talk to the kids. I'm open to that as well.
No doubt. No doubt. It's necessary.
Yeah.
With that being said, yo, thank you again.
Thank you.
Much love to your family.
Keep doing the work.
You can ask your brother Jimmy if he remembers a little badass kid named Charles who used to be running with him. He probably don't, because it was a long time ago.
No, he might though. He might.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because I hadn't been on that block, like I said, since 1980. I moved back to New York in 1996. And I was on the block. I was with, I don't know if you know Tone. They used to have the dogs and all that. Karate
of course
Tone.
I know Tone.
Yeah, so
listen,
I'm walking
every year on Terrace Avenue for them daggone fireworks. I don't know where he at.
No doubt. So you probably know my cousin Joe Harvey, my cousin Maurice Dingle.
Maurice Dingle, I know all of them.
Yeah, that's my little cousin. So I'm walking across the street with Tone, and I see Sal because he's very identifiable. You know what I mean? And he goes, I go, yo, is that Sal? He go, yeah. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
So he like, yo, Sal, you know who this is? And Sal goes, Charles? I was like, wow. He still remember me after all these years, man.
See that?
So big shout out to Sal, big shout out to Chappelle, big shout out to everybody from the block, my man Osborne, all of them good dudes, man, that I grew up with, man. I'm glad a lot of us are still here.
Those are ones
rest in peace to the ones that aren't here. You know, my brother and sister included. And man, let's just keep doing the right thing, keep fighting the good fight. And I hope to see you next time. And I'll be waiting for my invitation to Hot Mic.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm around. Let's go. Let's go. You already know what's up. It's always up.
No doubt.
Once again, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really enjoyed myself. You know, listen, continue to do your work. Continue to do your work. It's much needed. You know, I just want to say I'm very proud of you, your story, because I know you've seen some stuff. Even leaving that block at 10 years old, there was a lot to see at that time.
Tell me about it.
When you guys are growing up. So, you know, kudos to you, and, you know, just continue to stay focused and listen, like I always say, know your why. Focus on your why, stick to the plan, and be great. That's it.
Indeed. Salute. I see you next time.
Have a good one.
Peace and love.
Later.
Later.